This is Brandon from USF1. Thank you for coming to my Brazilian Grand Prix race reaction. Yes, I know it is very, very late. It is Tuesday, and the race was obviously on Sunday. But I actually couldn't even watch it live, you know, even though the race was theoretically live at my time at like 1:30, because Sao Paulo is only like an hour difference from my time zone. Because of, you know, contract obligations, I guess, with NBC Sportsnet, they had NASCAR going on all day, and they didn't even premiere the race until 8:30 p.m. my time. So I couldn't even, like, I already knew the results before you know, like, I even watched the race, which is quite disappointing. Yes, I know I could have, I guess, watched an illegal stream of it, of the broadcast, but last time I did that was actually for an IMSA race. And I ended up getting like a virus in my computer, and and actually that's ever since I've started having you know, computer problems and video problems ever since then. So I learned my lesson. I'm not going to be doing that again. But to be honest, I actually ended up watching the Grand Prix last night, and to be honest, it was actually kind of boring. I'm sorry if I sound, you know, pretty bad like that. I know it's like blasphemous. No F1 Grand Prix is boring, right? But to be honest, it kind of was. When Interlagos is dry and hot, you know, kind of predictable win, especially when, well, I guess like the big highlight of the day is the reason why he got driver of the day is Lewis Hamilton. Congratulations to him again for having a championship, his 4th driver's title. But he started from the pit lane, so basically 20th place with some, you know, like, and Brazil has a long pit lane, and he ended up coming P4, which is pretty amazing. But then again, that car is a lot faster than you know, than everything that he passed. So it's kind of interesting. I actually loved the battle between Hamilton and Verstappen when he was charging for P4, because Verstappen was in P4 on lap 59. He ended up passing him, like, Verstappen battled him quite well until turn 4, where Hamilton had DRS, and he ended up making you know, a quick work out of it once you know, he DRS and just passed him really easy. That straight line speed for Red Bull is just not there for against the Mercedes, especially when obviously one has DRS and one doesn't. So he was obviously going to pass him going into turn 4. But yeah, that was basically my highlight. But of course, the best theatrics for the Grand Prix happened, like, you know, between laps 1 and 2. Yeah, Van Dorn was sandwiched in between Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen. And you know, actually, like Ricciardo actually looked like he got spun off the track from the incident, but Van Dorn ended up having multiple issues with his car, and he ended up just retiring right away. Madison, I think he ended up like messing up his front suspension along with his front wing, and ended up having to retire from the race. But amazingly, Daniel Ricciardo ended up driving off from that incident, and he ended up coming P6 at the end of the Grand Prix. So not always do you get into accidents and end up having poor results. He actually had a pretty decent result. And then also another incident on turn 1 on lap 1 was between Romain Grosjean and Esteban Ocon. Ocon was cursed. He's finished every Grand Prix that he started. Obviously not in this case. He ended up going out on lap 1 after getting dusted up with Romain Grosjean, who did receive a 10-second time penalty, which he served on his first lap. On his first pit stop. He was not very happy with that, but he ended up coming P15. Again, Brandon Hartley with Toro Rosso just not having any luck. I don't know if it's actually, I don't think it was actually his fault at all. But you know, he ended up having to retire on lap 42 of 71, and he ended up, I forget what it was, but I think it was overall engine problems. Toro Rosso, the news of the week was that Toro Rosso accused Renault of giving them faulty engines, if not just faulty parts. I don't know if they can legally do that, but I kind of made a similar claim to Ferrari and Haas. But maybe like they're giving them older parts, or they're giving them the new parts, but not giving them any direction on the tuning or anything like that. So it doesn't actually, you know, fit well into the newer, older engines without a little bit of tuning. It's like, I don't know, to adjust the BHP, or yeah, it's kind of complicated. But yeah, Hartley ended up disappointing day in Brazil again. But yeah, even after that, like, those are all the DNFs: Hartley, Ocon, Madison, Van Dorn. Romain Grosjean ended up driving off after that incident with Ocon, but he ended up coming P15. Doesn't seem like his car seems on point after that incident. He ended up 2 laps down. And then also, when it comes to guys being 2 laps down, Lance Stroll, he actually was having a pretty decent day. He actually was like 3rd overall fastest lap on the day. Even he actually beat Pablo Montoya's lap record, but of course that was held by Verstappen, who had the ultimate fastest lap of the day. Great drive for him. I'm sure you would want P4, but yeah, Lance Stroll on lap 54 was complaining about like a bad setup, like his back end was given out on some of the turns, but his softs are kind of worn by then. By lap 69 out of 71, he ended up locking up his left front going into turn 1, and he ended up like part of his tire like sort of came apart, which he ended up having to make an emergency pit stop at the end, near the end, and Roman ended up passing him up, and ended up P15 and Lance Stroll P16. But yeah, Stroll was actually doing pretty decent until then, so we'll see if he can bounce back for Abu Dhabi. And then of course the Saubers actually did pretty decent with P13, 14. Gasly and sole remaining Toro Rosso with P12. Carlos Sainz and Hülkenberg were actually pretty close together with P11 and P10 respectively. And then, of course, Ocon didn't finish, but Perez ended up coming P9, getting 2 points for Force India. And then Alonso, it almost seems like McLaren's actually on a step up at the end of the year, coming P8. I'm sure he's quite happy to get some points, but I'm sure he wanted these results in the beginning of the season, of course. And, of course, they're going to be switching engine suppliers next year to Renault, and so far the Renault engines don't seem to be on par to the Honda engines at the moment, so who knows if that was a good move or not. And then speaking of McLaren, they actually had Lando Norris, the next prodigy, I guess, British prodigy supposedly. He took I think it was FP1 with McLaren. He had a pretty decent showing, and he impressed a lot of people. And then of course my highlight of the day, Felipe Massa. Of course, him being his second final Brazilian Grand Prix, home Grand Prix, of course. Of course, everyone had like a tear-jerk moment when his son, Massa Jr., got on the radio, got his dad a little teary while he was coming in on the in-lap of, afterwards. He's, holding the Brazilian flag, waving to all the fans, which, he had a lot of fans there. It is Brazil. It's his home Grand Prix. He's supposed to. But it was a very tear-jerk moment. He even stood on the podium with his son all by himself, and everyone gave him claps and all that stuff. It's kind of unfortunate to see Massa go, but it is great to see some new faces coming in. But Massa, obviously, very skilled driver. He got unlucky. I think he only lost a championship at 1 point once, right? When he was with Ferrari. But yeah, great drive for Massa, P7 for your final Grand Prix. I'm sure he wanted better results, but he was the best of the rest according since he wasn't part of the big three teams. And then speaking of which, Daniel Ricciardo, as I said, came P6. Max Verstappen took the fastest lap, ended up overall beating Montoya's lap record with P5. Lewis Hamilton, as I said, coming P4. And then your podiums being Vettel, Bottas, and Raikkonen coming P1, 2, and 3, as you guys already know. Bottas obviously started pole, and Vettel just sort of made quick work of him on the start. And he made it pretty easy. I think he was already halfway through going into turn 1, and he was definitely through at the end of turn 2. So Bottas, just very, very disappointing day for him, I'm sure. There was no way that Bottas was going to get past Vettel unless he had some crazy pit stop strategy and made up a lot of time. And then Kimi Räikkönen coming P3. He actually had a pretty decent drive. It almost seemed like he should have been closing the gap on Bottas, but he never had a shot. He never did. So yeah, guys, sorry this is short. As I said, it was kind of boring to me, so it wasn't all too much to talk about other than, driver instance, which I did, and, and Massa being his final home Grand Prix. But here is the final driver standings, even though it's really not, all that worth it now. Well, we already know the winner of the championship, but there has been some moves. Yeah, guys, I'm Brandon with USF1. Thanks for watching. Slap that like button for this short Brazilian race reaction. Do you guys want to? I would love to hear if you guys want quicker ones, or do you like my long and detailed ones? But I love that. I love some feedback on that. Subscribe if you're new, if you haven't already. But yeah, guys, I'm Brandon with USF1 again. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care. Peace.